Australian wife Nichola Kwon and Korean husband Kwon Sun-hong. Here's the story of how they first met and their married life now. Online comic strip My Korean Husband is a series of delightful everyday episodes and some misunderstandings rising from cultural differences experienced by international couples.
The rubbish bin is full. Can you take it out? Because it's your housework job. You are the rubbish man. You are the 쓰레기 남자.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good in Korean. It doesn't sound good, like you are like rubbish, like we are trash.
Like bastard.
Yeah, you are a really bad
Like
person.
trash,
you are bastard.
trash bastard.
You are dig or something.
How will this international couple spend their Chuseok holiday? Here's Nichola and Hugh frankly talking about their married life. As Korea sees more multicultural families, many people will be able to relate to this couple's story on Heart to Heart. So joining us today in our Heart to Heart studio are Nichola and Hugh Gwon, producers of a webcomic series called My Korean Husband. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
for having us. Hi, I'm Hugh from My Korean Husband. So I'm the husband. So I'm doing all other part of the husband thing and being silly, that kind of stuff.
Hi, I'm Nichola from My Korean Husband, and with my husband, we make comics and videos about our intercultural life together.
Okay, and once again, thank you for the wonderful intro and for joining us today. I'm very excited to ask you all these questions about what you do, about your webcomics. Very interesting, very fun. It's about an Australian being married to a Korean husband, about like intercultural marriages. So we'd like to take a look at a couple of your webcomics and maybe give our viewers an idea of what exactly these comics are about. So please tell us about them. All right, okay, so this is okay.
That's not a comic.
Before we get to the webcomics, this is actually a part, well, this is a photograph, but the video that I saw was, I think, taken this day. So this is like a before and after
Yes.
picture.
Yes.
So this is before you actually became healthier and
Yeah.
lost weight. Tell us about this journey.
Yeah, I mean, I was like 86 kilograms that time, and I like people, and I like drinking, and I like socializing actually a lot. So I didn't really care much, and I found out that like we can't naturally giving birth, having a child, so we had to get through all the IVF stuff, and we did it first time and then we failed, unfortunately. And then I saw that how hard it was.
Yes.
And I felt so sorry to Nichola because there's nothing I can do. And I had some health problem as well because I was fat, so I wasn't really good. My knee hurt and everything wasn't really good.
You're
So I went
snoring all the time.
That's secret.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I tried really hard. So I made a project for like losing weight. And then after 1 month, and then we found out that she got pregnant the second round. And I wanted to keep doing it to support her and then be proud husband and proud
Healthy dad.
healthy dad. So that's my aim. So I lost 22 kilograms.
The going is slow and hard. But I always say it takes one thing, discipline, and Hugh has got it. Before you know it, he's on a roll.
And I checked my weight today. I've lost 20 kilograms. My plan was like only 15 kilograms, but somehow I just lost more than that.
Yeah, he's flown past his original goal by like 10 pounds or more. But it just shows to everyone, but also to himself.
Yes.
That you can be the you want to be.
Oh, what a nice picnic set.
It's not a picnic set. It's for the ancestor ceremonies at ancestor graves on the mountains.
Oh, but it's still kind of a picnic? A picnic for the ancestors?
I guess.
And I saw something that I thought was like a wonderful picnic set. And I was like, how wonderful is this picnic set? We should get this. And then Hugh told me, no, it's the special ancestral ceremony jezza kit that you take to the mountains, to the ancestral graves. It's not a picnic set. But I said, well, it's kind of a picnic for the ancestors.
That's true. That's true.
But that was a big cultural difference because, of course, in Australia, we don't have anything like that. So there was a lot of things that I was learning about or the culture to do with holidays and all that, yeah.
So your webcomics are mainly about the things you experience, mainly about your experiences,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
When you first came to Korea. Have you created any webcomics about when you were in Australia before you came to Korea?
Yeah, so I actually started them while we were in Australia. So there are some that are to do with Australian culture. Often there's a lot to do with Australian swimming culture because that's quite different to Korea. So there's been some funny incidents with that, with Australian holiday culture and Australian swimming culture and yeah, little funny things like that.
One thing you say, like, this bridge is over 200 years. And I say, in Korea, everything is over 500 years.
Korea has such a long history. That's a big contrast to Australia. You know, Australia, when a building's 100 years old, we're like, wow, this is 100 years old.
But again, he's like 100 years? That's nothing.
Yeah. Do you know our Korean history of like how many thousands of years we have been here? Yeah.
I know. Would there be a favorite webcomic? I mean, could you? It probably would.
It's really hard. Like, and sometimes I forget them as well, and I look at them again, and it's like looking at a diary of, oh, I forgot about that moment.
Yeah.
So I can't really ever pick like this is the one that I like the most. But it is nice to see moments that happened like maybe years ago. Yeah.
Kind of brings back memories.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like flipping through like a photo album, a very old photo album.
Yeah.
Then what maybe is just one of the most popular ones?
Lately, there's been a few popular ones also to do with like Hugh's diet and that type of thing. So people have been, because they followed his journey as well, because we vlogged it as he did it. So it wasn't just one video. It was a bunch of videos and people could see, you know, his journey. So people have liked sort of seeing the funny moments in the comics as well.
And do you have a favorite of your own?
So many.
So many?
So many. Like mukbang things. So like we have different cultures. So I like when people are eating something. So I was sick, so she couldn't eat anything. So I asked her like, you should eat this one more, a little bit more. That one, this one. Like.
So when he couldn't eat something, he would make me sit down and eat in front of him. And I'm like, as an Australian, this is really weird for me. And he's like, eat more of this one.
I guess in a way you were lucky because, you know, I think sometimes when your husband or wife or like even a family member or friend, a close friend, if someone's sick, you feel bad.
Yeah.
So you kind of, I don't know,
what can I do for them?
and you try not to eat in front of your family member or friend, but at least he gave you the chance to eat. But did he ever force you to have something you didn't want to eat?
I would just be very like pushy.
So could you tell us a bit about this? I think you're cooking, preparing.
Yeah, so this was a Chuseok one time. So in the countryside, because we lived with Hugh's parents for 2 years in very, very Korean countryside. And so in this one, I'm making the Chuseok food with my sister-in-law. And it, as you know, it's hard work, like hours cooking like that, you know. And as a daughter-in-law, that's sort of what my duty is. And then Hugh comes in and says, oh, this is so difficult, I can't choose what to eat.
Because it's really hard to choose what to eat. Like everything is delicious. You know.
Of course. And have you, I mean, do men ever think about how much time and effort goes into
making
preparing all of that? Because I mean, it said hours and hours and hours of just, you know, scrouching and like, you know, just preparing food. And usually the husbands or the men come into the kitchen and like, oh, this looks good.
They just get to eat everything.
They do.
Man's duty.
But these days I make him, I'm like, go clean the yard or something. I'll be like, you should be, if I'm cooking like this, you should be doing something.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
With
now
my
you do.
father.
Okay, I think we have a couple more. Can we see the next one?
So Hugh's parents really wanted to get me a hanbok. I think when we first arrived in Korea, like very soon I went for the fitting and that. And so this is my first time really wearing one. And there's a lot of pieces to a hanbok and everything.
Yeah. Many layers.
So Hugh was helping me put all the layers on, and then it's like putting on a big wedding dress, right? Because then, you know, at the end, you shouldn't have to go to the bathroom, but I had to go to the bathroom, and it is really like a wedding dress where you know, I'm sure you've worn lots of hanboks.
Yes, you usually need help. To hold the dress
up like that.
It's a very uncomfortable situation. But so you've helped Nichola, you know, dress up in a hanbok from step one all the way to the end.
Yes.
How long did it take?
I can't remember.
I think first time it took quite long, and then we got used to. So
learning which pieces go where.
Yeah, do
and then also the bow as well.
Yeah.
I always have to pull up a YouTube video and like this.
Yeah, because there's a proper way to tie the bow.
Yeah.
And these webcomics are very fun. They're cute in a way as well. And it's I think even more amazingly interesting because they're your stories.
Yes.
You know, they're based on your experiences. So it's very interesting. Now, so most or all of your postings on your blog and these webcomics are based on your experiences and about intercultural relationships or marriages. So we'd like to take another break and take a look at some more blogs and webcomics of yours.
Stop putting your cold feet on mine. Stop it. Stay on your side of the bed.
It's not like this is North Korea and South Korea. No lie. It's space for everyone.
You were deliberately being annoying. Stop being North Korea.
Because your feet was warm, so I wanted to put my feet on your feet. And sharing is caring.
No, it's
so I want to share my coordinates with you.
So annoying.
It's not annoying.
I feel like there's always one partner in like a marriage that is the one that does this, that puts like the cold hands and the cold feet on the other person.
That's me.
That's you.
I always do.
Also, I feel like at the beginning of a marriage, people are really like polite, like sleeping next to their partner, right? And then it's like as the marriage goes on, it's just like blah, and like feet and like I hurt you.
Yes.
Sorry. That was revenge for like 2 years ago.
I'm proud to be your friend in general. How sappy is this? But I wanted to say thank you because you guys always have helped me out. And even when you didn't have to, even when there was no benefit in it for you guys, you've always been so helpful and so giving with your time and your home to me. And so it really means a lot. And I'm so happy to see you guys doing well because you deserve everything.
안녕. Just want to say hello and massive love to Hugh and Nichola, two of my favourite friends in the whole of Australia and Korea. And love you guys so much. Thank you for always supporting me. Thank you for being there for me. You guys are amazing. You make my heart spin, directly translated.
Hey Hugh and Nichola and Hugh, Hyunwoo here. I really think you guys are doing an absolutely amazing job when it comes to introducing the Korean culture to people outside of Korea and also just showing people what life is like or can be like in Seoul, South Korea. So people, I think, definitely appreciate your honest approach to your videos and your webcomics and stuff like that. Keep it up. 화이팅!
So we've got lots to talk about. As we've just begun, we talked about the changes you've gone through, you know, wonderful things happening in your life. Now, I understand that, Nichola, you're from Australia, and Hugh, obviously you're from Korea. You're from Gyeongsangbuk-do province.
경상남.
Gyeongsangnam-do, excuse me. So you are from Gyeongsangnam-do province,
Yes.
and I would like to ask how you first met. How did you meet?
We actually met in Sydney.
Ah.
So Hugh was actually in Australia and he was studying and that type of thing. And we met for language exchange. So sort of, I was interested in Korean culture and he wanted to improve his English. So we met like that, and that's how it all started.
Cool. So what led you to create My Korean Husband? What led you to draw My Korean Husband?
Well, I think early on in our relationship, we talked about making a book together or something to do with cultural differences because it was stuff we were working out like that. And we didn't really end up doing a book like that, but we ended up doing the blog. And I used to do art, like I used to work as an artist. And I went to art school and I was like, how can I do something that people are going to look at, because people don't want to read a big thing of text about something. So that's how the comics came about. And I wasn't, like, my early comics are not very good because I'd done traditional art, so I'd never done comics before. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make comics about these moments in our life. So we decided to call it like My Korean Husband. We're in Australia at that time. And this was how our relationship was so different to our friends' relationship. So we had friends who were Korean and Australian and Australian. And we really didn't know anyone at that point, right, that was in an intercultural relationship. And there wasn't that much online either. So all those reasons sort of came together, and that's how the blog started.
And also we researched about the Korean husband, and we found out like so many bad negative stuff online.
That was the first search results coming up.
Really?
Yeah, really bad. Korean husbands are really bad. Korean men are bad.
And I was like, my Korean husband is not bad like that.
Yeah, so we wanted to change something positive. So we wanted to explain with our drawing, her comic. And that's how we started.
Yeah,
actually.
that's how it all started. And then a while later, we also started YouTube and making videos as well.
Yeah.
So obviously you two come up with ideas together, or do you come up with ideas separately as well? How does it work?
Both,
How do you
I
work
think,
together?
Together.
Yeah, and sometimes something will happen or there'll be a cultural difference and we're like, okay, make a comic about this one, or Hugh will come to me and like, you should make a comic about this one, or I always like screen, if I've got an idea, I screen it with him first. I'm like, is this okay if I do this?
So you studied art, so
Yes.
you usually draw the comics.
Yeah, Hugh has done a few, like he's done a few My Australian Wife ones, which are more stick figures. But yeah, so he does a little bit, but he's more directing of like, oh, you should do one about this.
So obviously, I'm sure that many international or intercultural couples react hotly to your blogs and your comics. Which aspect of your creations do you think really well connect people to or with your comics and blogs?
I think a lot of the time when we talk about cultural differences, and it's been a learning experience for us as well, because we always didn't know what was a personality or what was cultural difference. And so we would make a comic and then we'd get other couples being like, oh, we have the same sort of thing. Yes, this is a cultural difference. So it's been a big journey for us, and we've met so many other couples like us, and we're able to connect about these things, cultural differences and living in a different country and that. So we've really created like a really nice community of people. Yeah.
Okay, this is the other couple that is doing the radio with us.
Wow.
So they're just looking at the vlogging camera.
That's amazing. Here's my wife, Yumin. Hi, Yumin. We talk about marriage. Hi, 안녕하세요. We talk about life as a married couple here in Korea. And yes, we've been married for 5 years.
Congratulations. Quite similar to us, actually. Yeah.
Actually, in April 14th is our fifth year. So, yes.
April 14.
Yes. Wow. When is yours?
No, we have 3 different ones.
The one we had in Australia was April
21st.
Yeah.
There, it's Chuseok. It's Korean Thanksgiving right now. And there's what's called the holiday syndrome in Korea. It's called 명절 중후군. It's where all the daughters-in-law, they're so stressed. We talked about preparing food for the holiday, and the men just walk in and they just grab all the food and walk out. But when this time comes around, usually the daughters-in-law, they help out. The women do a lot of work in preparation when it comes to preparing for this very big holiday event. So how was it for you? What was it like for you the first time you actually had to help prepare for, Chuseok ceremony?
The first time it was a little bit scary. Also, my mother-in-law speaks a very strong dialect, so that's also difficult for me as well. But she's very, very kind to me, and I think she's a little bit lenient with me because I am a foreign daughter-in-law, so she doesn't expect too much from me. And I think also she had difficulties with her mother-in-law, and so she's sort of made it her aim to be super, super nice to me, which I really, really appreciate. So she's very lenient with me, but there was still a lot of work to do on the holidays like that. So I spend a lot of time sitting on the floor, flipping the John like that.
I'm very lucky to have a wonderful mother-in-law as well. I do try to help out, but I just do a little bit of what I can do. It takes me hours to do this much. So I can't really...
Sometimes you get the spatula taken from you, which does it really quickly.
You're so slow. Because everything has to be, well made.
It's got to look really nice.
Yeah, it has to look good. It has to taste good. And you have to be quick as well, which is not easy. It takes a lot of practice. So you have spent a few traditional holidays in Korea. So among all these holiday customs you've experienced, does anything stand out as something very different or something that's too difficult for you to understand? Something you'll never get used to? Is there anything you think you'll never get used to?
I think as an Australian, how asking for money, or especially the children do the big bow and they ask for money, that's quite unusual for me. Do you want to tell the story about
tell us the story.
Was it the first time? Was it Sola?
Yeah,
and I was in my
I
was in my hanbok, and what you made me do?
Because I'm old enough to get sebeton, like the money from the eldest. And
they won't give to you anymore.
Yeah, they are not giving me any money. But they always want Nichola to do the bow, and then I told her to do it, and always they give some money, and then I take some money, and at the end, you did a good job.
So he makes me bow to all the family members, like, go, that family member, go bow, and I'll do it and say it, and they find it quite amusing, this foreigner doing that. So they give me, a good amount of money, and I put it in my little matching hanbok bag, and then
pouch.
He takes it at the end and is checking how much money I earned for him.
So he keeps the money?
No, we spend money for...
I can't remember, actually. Did you ever give me any money back?
Yes, I did.
It's usually what parents do with their children, because the children, like you said, once you become an adult old enough, you do the bow, but, I don't know, the eldest members of the family, they usually don't give you, pocket money or money. But kids, the parents say, okay, sebehe,
and the foreigners can do it.
And then the parents usually take away the pouch and they keep the money. I'll take care of this. I'll put it in your bank, and you never know what happens to that money.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened to that money.
Although Hugh thinks
that's how it works.
Do you have any advice for intercultural couples out there that may be watching right now? Each of you, would you share a few tips, advice?
Like we said before, communication is really important, and understanding each other like that. And people always see a lot of disadvantages for intercultural couples, and there can be disadvantages, but there can be a lot of benefits as well. And I think you can turn disadvantages into advantages, like with the language in that. If we're not understanding each other well, we can take the time to be really, really slow down and talk about it and learn from each other, rather than just making assumptions like that. So there can be disadvantages that it can be turned into positives like that. So we always try to approach things that way, in a positive way. And because having an intercultural relationship can be something that is really wonderful. Like you get to learn about another culture, you get to experience all these things. So really focusing on those positives, I think, is important. Yeah.
And I think learning each other's culture is really important as well, because so many times I saw like only Korean side, they want to teach our culture, but also the other person need to learn the other person's culture to understand each other. I think that's really important, and be patient and be understandable is really important.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for especially for Korean husbands out there. That happen to be in like international, intercultural marriages or even relationships. You know, dating someone from a different country. Well, thank you once again. As you've mentioned briefly, when you first did a search on like intercultural relationships, there were negative comments or negative stories that just popped up first. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for giving people out there the opportunity to find the bright side, the positive side of, an intercultural marriage. Thank you for sharing your happy stories, your very interesting experiences in life, and we hope you to continue to do so for a very, very long time.
We hope so
and
too.
best of luck to you with your book as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.